Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're living your best life, doing the things you love, pursuing your passion, spending time with your family, or taking time for self-care. I consider jewelry making self-care because it really helps me to relax. I love to sit down and put some music on and sit with my cat and make beautiful jewelry with beautiful beads. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be making that gorgeous necklace that you saw in the intro, and we're going to be using the beads that came in Sam's bead box for the month of July. Now, if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave a little bit of information down below in the description section of this video. If you'll scroll down, you'll see it. I'll leave a link to the website along with a coupon code in case you're interested. Another thing you might like to do is to visit their Facebook group page. I'll leave that link down below as well. But anyway, guys, I'm super excited today because I think this necklace is really pretty. I think you're going to love it. And it's relatively easy to make. It's a little bit fiddly because of the chain swags, but it is easy to make. Now, if you missed out on Sam's bead box for the month of July, I'll leave a list of all the materials down below as well, so you can go find them on the internet if you have to. Or you might want to check out Sam's online bead shop because sometimes he does sell items from past boxes. So anyway, guys, I'm super excited. I can't wait to show you how to make this necklace. Before we start, let me remind you to please subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so, because it really does help this channel and it helps me as a content creator to stay motivated to create more videos for you. And don't forget that I leave timestamps down below, so if you want to skip forward to any portion of the video, you can do so. And one of the things that I love to do is to model the pieces, and I'll be doing that at the end of the video, so stick around for that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And here we have Sam's bead box for the month of July. As you can see, the name of the box is Viva Magenta. Let's go ahead and select the beads. I always try to put the bags at the top to make it easy. What inspired today's necklace are these beads here. I think these are really gorgeous. These are called diamond oval beads. The color is Neon Fuschia AB, and they measure 9.5 by 24 millimeters. Aren't these pretty? I love these. We're going to use all four. I want to use some of these components. I'm going to use the chandelier component as well as the two links. I think these are really lovely as well. The chandelier component measures 23 by 27.5 millimeters, and the links measure 10 by 19.5 millimeters. Now, when I first saw these Lampwork beads, I fell in love. I knew I had to use these. These are so beautiful, guys. Look at that. I know it's difficult to see through the plastic, but there's one teardrop shaped bead and four round ones. They're actually rondelles, but they look very round. But anyway, we're going to use all 5 pieces. And I do want to use some of the beads in this bag here. This is a bead mix, as you can see. And I want to use the leaf beads and a couple of the other round beads, some faceted smaller ones. And that's it from this box. I'm going to be using some craft wire, and it's 20 gauge craft wire. And this one's in a silver color, and it's tarnish resistant. I'm not particular about the brand. You can use any brand. I'm going to be using some chain, and these links are oval links. I think they measure 2 by 3 millimeters. And this chain is in an antique silver color, as you can see. And I'll be using a lobster clasp and some jump rings and some ball head pins, but I'll pull those out later on. So now that we've gone over the materials, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by preparing the pendant and some little dangles as well. These 4 leaves and these 2 little beads came from the bead mix. These measure 6 millimeters in size, and the leaves measure 9 by 14 millimeters. As you can see, I have one of the Lampwork beads, and I have the chandelier component. I also have some jump rings, and they measure 7 millimeters. And I have a couple of ball head pins and one flat head pin. I'm going to use the ball head pins on the little beads, and this flat head pin on the Lampwork bead. Let me go ahead and show you what we're going to do with the leaves. I'm simply going to open up this jump ring. And by the way, these jump rings are 22 gauge. You don't want to use jump rings that are too thick because they won't fit through this hole. And I'm just going to close it up. And that's all there is to it. Pretty easy. Let me do the other 3. So now I have jump rings on all 4 leaves. So now I'm going to attach these 2 little beads and this teardrop shaped bead to the chandelier component. Let me work on these first. I'm going to use a head pin. Using my round nose pliers, I'm going to grab that head pin right where the bead is, kink it, switch to this part of the pin, Wrap the tail around the nose. Flip my pliers around. Continue to wrap that tail to the back. Let me do this one now. I will do some wrap loops, but I want to get this one loaded on the head pin first. Once again, I'm going to kink that pin, switch to this part of the pin, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Let me attach them to the chandelier component. I'm going to open up this loop a little bit. And now I'm going to hook it onto this loop. I'm going to grab the loop of the pin with these pliers. These are actually crimping pliers, but the tip is really skinny and they grab really well. And now with another set of pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Using my flush cutters, I'm going to snip off the excess pin. And now I'm going to tuck in that little sharp end. Let me go ahead and attach this one now. Once again, I'm going to open up that loop a little bit. I'm going to insert it into this loop. And now I'm going to grab that loop with my skinny pliers. And with my other pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and do my wraps. Snip off the excess pin. Tuck in that little end. And now let's go ahead and attach this one. I'm going to slide this flat head pin through the bead. And you do want to check to make sure the pin isn't going to slide through that hole, and it looks like mine won't. Now for this one, I'm going to do a simple loop. So I'm going to grab the pin right where the bead is, kink it, snip off the excess, leaving about 3/8 of an inch, something like that. I'm going to grab the end of that pin with my round nose pliers, making sure it's flush. And now I'm simply going to loop it. You want to make sure you close your loop really well, and you want to make sure that it's centered as well. Just like that. Let me open it up now. And I'm going to slide it into the middle loop of this component and close it. And that's all there is to it. Very simple. Just make sure your jump rings aren't too thick, because you might crack those beads when you try to insert them. And that's another reason I use 7mm jump rings. I did test out the 6mm size, and I had a difficult time feeding them through the holes. So now we're going to move on to the next step. Let me get the beads for that. Here are the beads that are going to form the lower part of the necklace. I had my diamond oval beads in that beautiful fuchsia color. And I also have 4 of the Lampwork rondelle beads. I don't think I gave you the dimensions for these. The bag didn't list the dimensions. Let me just see. It looks like they measure 10mm. And now let me measure this one. This one measures 21.5mm long. And it's about 12mm across. But anyway, we're going to put all of these on wire. And I have my 20 gauge wire. These pieces measure 2 inches and these measure 1.5 inches. And again, we're going to do some simple loops. So let me just do one and then I'll speed up the film. You'll still be able to see the process, but it'll be sped up. Using my flat nose pliers, I'm going to kink my wire about 3/8 of an inch down. And now with my round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the end, making sure that it's flush, and I'm going to create a loop. And now I'm threading it through the bead. And again, I'm going to create another kink at this end. I'm lining up my bottom loop. Let me trim off the end, leaving myself 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end with my round nose pliers and form a loop. You want to make sure your loop is centered and you want to make sure that it's closed. And even though I lined up that bottom loop, my loops are always a little bit out of alignment sometimes, not always. These actually look pretty good. But you want to make sure your loops are facing the same direction. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing with the rest of the beads. Let me speed up the film and I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I prepared all 8 beaded components, and now we're going to connect them to each other, and we're also going to connect them to the pendant. So let me go ahead and get the pendant and some jump rings. Here are all the components that are going to form the bottom part of the necklace. Of course, I'm missing the chain swags and the leaf dangles, and the 2 links that I'm going to attach at each end. Now, in order for me to attach this pendant, I had to use a small jump ring. I've already attached it, as you can see. It's a 4mm size jump ring. Another thing I need to do is change the bottom loops of the Lampwork beads. The top loops are going to connect to the jump rings, but the bottom loops need to be parallel to the mat so that I can connect the chain swags and the leaf dangles. And by the way, these jump rings measure 6.5mm. So let me go ahead and change these bottom loops. They need to be perpendicular like that. And now let me connect everything. I'm going to start at this end. You want to make sure you close your jump rings really well. Now let me open up this one. So far, so good. One thing you do need to pay attention to, guys, is where you connect the components on that jump ring. You have to make sure you connect all of them on the bottom side of the jump rings. In other words, you don't want to connect this one on the bottom side and then the pendant on the top side, because then obviously it won't hang properly. Let me go ahead and connect the pendant now. I'm going to slide that 4mm jump ring into the large jump ring like this. And now I'm going to connect this component. Let me check to make sure I have the pendant on the bottom side of the jump ring, and I do, as you can see. Let me open up this one now. This part's actually pretty easy. The difficult part's going to be when we attach the chain swags. Let me check to make sure I'm doing this right. think I am. And if you make a mistake and hook it onto the wrong side, it's no big deal. So don't stress too much about this part. I think it looks really nice. I'm pretty happy with it so far. Let me get my chain swags. This one measures 2 inches and this one measures 1 1/4 inches. It's a little bit shorter because the pendant takes up space. In other words, the distance between this loop and that loop is shorter than the distance from this one and this one. And here are the pieces for the other side. Here's the shorter one. In order for me to connect the shorter ones to the pendant, I'm going to need some jump rings. I have 2 4mm size jump rings. And here are my leaf dangles. Let me turn it this way. As you can see, the leaf has a little curve, so the ones on this side are going to mirror the ones on that side. I'm going to have a total of 4. And now comes the difficult part. It's not really that it's difficult, it's that it's fiddly. Let me go ahead and start by connecting this short piece of chain. I'm going to open up this jump ring, connect it to this loop, and now I'm going to connect this short piece of chain. I'm sliding the link of the chain into the jump ring, and now let me close it up. So far so good. And now I'm going to open up the loop of this component. And I'm going to connect this long piece first. And now the leaf. And now the short piece. And I usually let it hang a little bit to make sure it's not tangled before I connect it. It's not easy. Like I said, this part's a little fiddly. But as you can see, they're all hooked on. And now I just need to close this jump ring. And now we just need to connect the long piece of chain to this beaded component right here. Let me open up the loop. Once again, I'm letting the chain hang. And now I'm going to slide that last link into the loop. And now my dangle. And let me close it up. I think the most difficult part is arranging everything so you can see how it looks. But there it is. I think it looks great. So anyway, guys, I'm going to follow the same steps and connect this side now. So let me speed up the film and I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I've connected everything. I think it looks gorgeous, it really does. And now I'm going to connect these links, one on each side, and some chain as well. I'm going to use 5mm jump rings. And you're probably wondering why I didn't connect the link directly to that large jump ring. The reason is that that large jump ring is parallel to my mat. So whatever I connect to it has to have loops that are vertical or perpendicular. And the loops on this component are parallel to my mat. So that's the reason why. I hope that makes sense. Let me go ahead and open up one of these jump rings. I'm going to connect it to this large jump ring. And now let me connect the link. And close it up. Let me connect this one now. I have my chain here. I'm going to connect it to this end. Let me open up this jump ring. I'm just going to slide the link into the jump ring like this. And now I'm going to connect it to this link here. It's actually called a connector link. I hope I'm not confusing you. So that's how it looks. I think it looks lovely. So anyway, let me go to the mirror and check the length of the chain and see how much chain I need, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I've already attached the piece of chain and it's 4 inches long. So let me give you the measurements. This part here, including the link, measures about 3 3/4 inches. And if you add the chain, that's 7 3/4 inches. Now obviously the jump rings and the clasp are going to add an inch to the overall length. So this necklace is going to be approximately 17 inches long. But keep in mind that I have a small frame, so you may need something different. Another thing you have to consider are the size of your loops, and of course the size of the jump rings as well. But anyway, I'm pretty pleased with how it looks so far. Here are 2 jump rings for the clasp, and here's a lobster clasp. Let me go ahead and attach it. I'm simply going to open up this jump ring. Connect the clasp. And now I'm going to connect it to this side. And this necklace doesn't really have a front or a back, so it really doesn't matter what side. Let me open up this jump ring now. And connect it to this end. So here's the finished necklace. I think it looks very romantic and very feminine. I love the colors and I love these Lampwork beads, I really do. I hope you like it as well. So now I'd like to go ahead and put it on and show you what it looks like. So let me do that and I'll see you in a few moments. Well, what do you think? I actually feel like a princess right now with this necklace. Isn't it pretty? I love it. I can see making the same necklace in black beads for Halloween. I think that would be really cool. But anyway, guys, after I finished the tutorial, I did end up lengthening the chain a little bit to make the necklace a little bit longer. That's the nice thing about making your own jewelry. You can make changes along the way or after. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope I've inspired you. I hope you can make your own necklace. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.